Hey, my name is Alex. Together with my business partner Caleb, we own just under 700 storage units across 5 facilities. And in this channel, we are going to be sharing with you what we learned so that you don't make the same mistakes we did. In this particular video, we're going to talk about why dynamic pricing of storage units is so critical to a good operation and how it can maximize the revenues of your facility. So although the storage units that you see in this picture here are exactly the same size, at the same location, and offer the same amenities, they actually don't rent for the same prices. This is the definition of dynamic pricing, and it is used across industry-leading self-storage facilities out there, plus tons of other industries just like airlines. Now, dynamic pricing doesn't necessarily mean the difference between price and two different storage unit size types. So for example, for us, a 10 by 20 is almost always going to cost more than a 10 by 10, right? Just because the 10 by 20 is twice as big. What dynamic pricing refers more to as is why does one 10 by 10 rent for $70, but the one right next to it, the same size, that one may rent for $80, or maybe the one down a little bit only rented for $60. Why is there a difference in pricing on the exact same units that are at the same location and all the amenities are exactly the same? It's very similar to the same reason why airlines charge different prices on their seats, even though everybody on that airplane is going to the exact same location. So why did one person pay $300 for their seat when the person right next to them may have paid $400, or the person right in front of them may have paid $500 for their seat, even though everybody is going to the exact same location? At the end of the day, it is all based on supply and demand. So for example, I don't know this for sure, but I would assume that the very first ticket booked on a plane probably is purchased for a little bit cheaper than the very last ticket. If that plane only has one seat remaining, they know that that flight has high demand, therefore they can increase the pricing that they can charge, similar to storage units. If we just built 100 brand new 10 by 10 storage units, our very first group of 25 is going to rent for a lot less per month than our very last group of, let's say, 5 units, right? Because if we lease up 95 of those units in a quick time frame, then we know that the demand for those units is really high, and thus we can increase our pricing and be able to capture more revenue per square foot or more revenue per month on those last few units there. Another way that you can think of dynamic pricing or use dynamic pricing in your storage facility is based on the unit's location. So let's say we have a climate control facility that has one main entrance to it, in which customers park their vehicles right next to that entrance. Well, the unit that as soon as they open the door, the 10 by 10 unit that is directly right there, it's only a 15-foot walk from their vehicle, that unit is going to rent for a lot higher than the unit that is at the very end of the hallway that's another 150 feet down from where they have to park their car at. You can think of this same thing as whenever you book a seat on a plane, right? Sometimes you get the option to say, well, hey, for 30 bucks more, you can be right here next to the door, or you can be right here next to the exit row. And that way you have more leg room, or that way you can get on and off the plane a little bit quicker. And that's a great way for the airlines to generate a little bit extra revenue per seat. Similar with the self-storage facility, it's a great way for you to be able to generate a little bit extra revenue for your units. Now, the software that you're using is going to have a big factor in this as well. A lot of times on a software system, a customer can say, okay, I want a 10 by 10 climate control unit. That price is $100. But then when they click that and they go to check out, it'll give them an option that says, well, hey, you're kind of getting the good unit right now, but there's a better option or there's a best option. And maybe maybe your good unit is 100 feet away, your better option is 50 feet away, but then your best option is only 10 feet away from where you're gonna park your car, but that best option may be 30% or 40% higher than that good option. But you'd be surprised, a lot of customers will actually elect to go for that best option, and therefore you are able to just get 30 or 40% more revenue per month by utilizing a dynamic pricing strategy. As you guys know, a value add opportunity on a self-storage facility is critical for us whenever we're making a decision to purchase a new facility. And dynamic pricing is a great way to implement a value add strategy, or AKA increase your average revenue per square foot across that facility. So for example, if we're looking at purchasing a facility and we see in the rent roll that they rented units 10 years ago for 50 bucks, and they're still renting that same unit size for $50, obviously common sense tells us that, look, just general inflation, if somebody was willing to pay 50 bucks for, or a lot of people were willing to pay 50 bucks for that unit 10 years ago, we know that that price today is just way too low. But rather than making everybody at the same flat rate, we can really play with that and see, okay, always think about your supply and your demand. If that's a unit size that you're constantly getting calls on, then maybe be a little bit more aggressive with your rate increases on that, be a little bit more aggressive with your street rates on that as well. Typically, what you're going to be able to see is that it's a lot easier for a customer to rent your storage unit and move in than it is for the customers that are already there to move out. So oftentimes what we're going to see is the in-place rates, we're going to be able to raise those to actually higher than the street rates. And then the street rates, the name of the game there is you want somebody to say, yep, I want to book that unit, book the unit, give them an option for good, better, best, try to increase your overall revenue per square foot on that particular unit size. But across the board, not all of your 10 by 10s are going to be at the same price. And again, it gets a little bit confusing and some people don't like the idea of that, but by implementing a good and thought out dynamic pricing operations or system, you're really going to be able to increase the average per square foot in which you're renting out units at your facility. So this is why being in touch with what your customers want in your particular market, knowing exactly, here's my storage facility, here's a 5-mile radius of it, what do customers want in that 5-mile radius? This is why this is so important, because you're going to be able to better understand the supply, you're going to be able to better understand the demand in your market, and ultimately optimize the revenue for your self-storage facility, providing yourself or your investors the best returns possible. So I appreciate you watching this short video talking about how we implement dynamic pricing into our self-storage facilities and what that does for the revenue across the board, across all of our facilities. If you found any value out of this video, we would greatly appreciate if you could just like the video, subscribe to our channel. As promised, we're going to be sharing what we learn as we continue to grow our business, hopefully so that you don't make the same mistakes that we've made. We'll see you in the next video.